Hello, welcome back to Happy Apple Core Homestead. Today we are going to be planting potatoes. The first step to planting your potatoes is finding a good spot to put them in the ground. This is the bed we will be using this year. We do practice crop rotation, so last year there were peas and beans growing in this raised bed. Now that we've found the perfect bed to plant our potatoes in, we want to make sure we remove the irrigation lines, just get them out of the way. You don't have to completely disconnect them. And then you're going to grab your hoe and you're going to break the dirt up about 6 inches down. Once the dirt has been broken up 6 inches down, you'll want to smooth the top over, breaking up any clumps as you go along. And the reason for smoothing it out is so that when we add the compost in our next step, we'll be able to have that even layer over the top. Compost is the next step in planting beautiful potatoes. We use an organic compost. It comes from a local company near me. You can also start building your own compost, which we have done, but we don't have enough for our entire garden. So we get this shipped in, or delivered to us rather, and it's just a green manure, I guess, which is kind of funny to say green and manure in the same, because there's actually no manure, animal, human, or otherwise, in this compost. It is exclusively made up of green vegetation, and it works really well in our garden. You may decide you want to use some animal manure, and that's really going to help your garden thrive as well. But just so you know, if you don't want to use any animal manure or you can't obtain it, you don't have to. Now that we have our compost, we want to put a 2 to 3 inch layer on top of the bed we're going to be planting the potatoes in. Once you get the compost on, you'll want to smooth out the bed, also breaking up any large clumps. Now that we've added compost to the top of the soil and smoothed it out, we're adding an organic fertilizer. This is Dr. Earth tomato and vegetable fertilizer. I have used it in the past when I haven't been able to obtain the individual ingredients to mix my own, and I have found it to be very effective, and that's what we'll be using today. Liberally sprinkle the fertilizer over the entire surface of the bed. This is what it looks like once the fertilizer has been applied. The next step is to really deeply mix in the fertilizer, the compost, and the original soil. All three combined need to be really mixed in well, so you're going to want to dig in there with your gloves about 6 inches down and get that nice and effectively mixed up. As you work and you're getting all of that compost and the fertilizer mixed into the original soil, make sure you smooth the bed out. Now this bed is almost ready to plant potatoes. Just a couple more things to do before we get to the fun part. Hopefully you haven't tripped over your irrigation lines, but let's address those next. Before we plant our potatoes, we want to place the irrigation lines where they will be during the growing season. Even though we're not turning the water on yet, we will use this as a guideline to ensure that the plants don't grow up and around the irrigation. Now that the bed is 100% ready to plant, you get to pick your potatoes. We are planting Yukon Gold. I purchased my seed potatoes from Wood Prairie. They're out in Maine. It's a family-run company, and I really just love to support family businesses, even if they're not local. Of course, I love local as well. They have a very similar climate to ours, and these potatoes grow very well here. I have been ordering from them for many years. You can get your seed potatoes locally, though, from lots of different places, your nursery or Sometimes hardware stores will have them as well. It really just depends on where you live. If you grew your own potatoes last year and you had some left over, you will likely see that they have eyes growing on them now, and you can use those for your next crop. When planting potatoes, you want to make sure that each potato or piece of potato that you use has at least 2 eyes. And the eyes are the little things that poke out. They look like little sprouts. They're called eyes. And some people like to cut their potato and let it kind of develop a skin. We don't do that. We never have, and our potatoes grow wonderfully. So I think that's really just a personal decision that you can make yourself. We are cutting our potatoes so that each one has between 2 to 3 eyes. If your potato only has 1 eye on it, then plant the whole potato. We cut our potatoes as we go, and we lay them out all in one layer on top of the dirt first. Potatoes, the Yukon Golds need to be planted 12 inches apart. So this way we know that we have them exactly 12 inches apart. We even bring out a measuring tape just to make sure. And you don't have to do that if you can eyeball it, but they do need to have that space in order for the potatoes to grow to their full appropriate size. If you are planting russets or fingerlings, you're going to want to plant them about 18 inches apart. Once the potatoes have all been laid out, we want to get them into the ground. And when you're planting your potato piece, you're going to want to make sure it is planted with the eyes facing upward toward the sky. Imagine that those little sprouts are going to turn into big giant leaves, and you want to give them the best possible start by making sure that they are facing in the direction that they want to grow, which is in an upward direction. So plant your potatoes 2 to 3 inches down with the eyes facing upward. One of the reasons that I stress hoeing down the dirt and 6 inches and breaking up all the clumps and mixing everything in so good is it really makes the dirt so easily workable. It will make your planting, just doing that hard work up front will make the actual act of planting such a pleasure and a joy. The dirt is so soft and easy to work with, and I promise you, if you just do that a little extra hard work up front, not only will you be more joyful about the process, your plants will thank you, because as they grow and they put out their roots, they will have all those little air pockets and places to go in a way of freedom, as opposed to trying to force their way through hard clumps of clay, or you know what I mean. So go ahead and make sure you do that up front. Make that dirt nice and soft and easy to work with. You won't regret it. Once your potato is in the ground, go ahead and cover it up with the soil and pat it down gently. Here are the 2 beds that are completely full of potatoes, and there's only 1 step left. Last but not least, you're going to want to give your potatoes a really good deep soaking of water. And we have an irrigation system as well, but we're not going to use that for the initial soak through. We want to really do a quick, even, deep watering, and then we'll use the irrigation for maintenance throughout the rest of the growing season. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it answered all the questions that you may have had about how to grow your own potatoes. If I left anything out and you still have questions or comments or suggestions, please go ahead and leave that in the comments section for me. I do read and respond to every single comment from you guys. I really appreciate you all. Happy planting! Bye!